Hello, welcome to another episode. I wish I knew. And today's topic is on relationships. Nydia, would you like to start this one off?
Um, I will go ahead and start it off. Relationships are not easy, and I think sometimes we fall in love with someone and we think it's forever, and we think it's going to last sometimes forever. And sometimes that's true for some people, but it's not true for all of us. Um, we have been in a relationship for a very long time. And we've seen people who have been divorced, who are still together to this day, but relationships are difficult and not easy. And I think it's just not a relationship falling in love with someone. It can be a relationship with anyone. It can be a relationship with your brother, sister, friend, whoever it could be. But relationships are work in process.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, I guess the reason for us coming up with this topic is watching our kids having issues trying to understand relationships. And we watched a good YouTube of someone who quickly understood a military version of a relationship, and the difference between civilian and military. Because like military relationships are crucial to everything. It's about survival, and you know, it you don't we don't think about the value of relationships and what it means that when we step into a relationship to commit. And not in the committing as far as because of, I don't want to get into like marriage relationships, just relationships, a commitment. I'm there for you. You know, that basic underlying what represents friendship, um, of, between a parent and a child. I'm there for you. That's the bottom line of any relationship is I am there for you, that commitment level. And from there, you can stack on anything that you want to into a relationship, which can constitute a marriage, a friendship, a relationship with a family member. It's just what other things are stacked in. But I think people get things too complicated. It's just as simple as I'm there for you and truly committing to that. And I think that's the hardest part with most relationships is they get caught up in everything else, but that one portion of that commitment. What is your opinion?
Well, well, in a relationship, I feel like there's multiple things, and I think that's one of them.
No.
But I think also is that as we enter the relationships, I think sometimes we're also dealing with ourselves,
Yes.
dealing with our own demons. And what I mean by demons, I don't call it like anything, weirded out or anything, but just your own personal struggles. And uh, that is also important to acknowledge what you're going through. And it might not just be the partner or the person, again, another relationship with someone else, like a cousin or, anybody else that you might be having a relationship.
Yeah.
But it's your own internal struggle of what you have to deal with too. And sometimes it's easy to put the blame on someone else than to look at yourself and say, maybe it's not them, maybe it's me. And until you see maybe some of the things that you might be doing, you can't change it. It's difficult because how can we change something that we were not aware of?
Right. I just, I, for me, I think anyone who's looking at the relationship, I say anything that you want in your life or that's in your life that's going to require work. So you have to make a commitment to work at something. So if you have something in your life, whether it's a car, a job, clothing, it all requires work. And let me explain, because most people are going to say, no, you're wrong. If you own a car, you have to go do maintenance on it. You have to repair the tires every so many years. You have to change the oil. You got to put gas. That's work. And so if you want that vehicle, it's work. It's commitment. And
Maintenance.
maintenance, yeah. If you have a pair of clothes, it's work. You have to wash them. You have to dry them. If you have drawers, you have to fold them up, put them in the drawer. It's work. I mean, in order to have anything in your life, it requires some level of commitment to work at it. We may not view it as work and a commitment to it, but at the end of the day, you have to have a level of commitment. Otherwise, these things don't function. You know, you're not going to walk around in dirty clothes every day unless you're homeless. And you know what good is having a vehicle sitting in the driveway if you can't drive it because you're not maintaining it? So everything is a level of work, and there's a commitment to do the work. Otherwise, these things don't function in our lives. And I think people really need to think simplistic about relationships, as far as realizing that when I enter into a relationship, there's some level of commitment, there's some level of work to maintain it, and then it goes from there. What else am I expecting out of that relationship, and what is other people expecting out of that relationship?
Yeah, and just another thing to add on to what he's saying is also everybody's relationship is different. And don't think that you have to model on what you see out there, what you have been seeing as partners, or each relationship. And I try to explain that with my daughters, because I only have two, but even with their relationship, it has been different because they're two different people. And we try to treat them equally. And I think we've done our best that we could, but somehow one of them thinks, they got it better than the other one, or they got something, but we really tried to be equal with them. And we didn't treat them equally because they weren't the same person, and it didn't work. Certain things did not work. One child that could have worked on something on the other child, it didn't work, so we had to toggle. It's the same thing in a relationship. Don't think that if you're in a relationship, it has to be this way. It doesn't. It doesn't have to be that way. Your relationship is your relationship, and you guys can do whatever you want to with it. I mean, it's about you two and what you want in it, what you don't want in it, and talk about it. And that's another thing, the communication, to be able to talk to your partner, regardless how hard it is and how much it can hurt. Talking to your partner makes it easier to come together and to work things out. No relationship is perfect. I don't care what anybody says. It is not. You have ups and downs, ups, downs. So don't even, each person or each relationship to its own. And like I said, do not try to copy anybody else. It's about you two or you three nowadays. I don't know. But it's really talking to your partner and seeing what is good for both of you.
Yeah, I think people should, after being in a relationship so long, and it's like I hear the words love from someone who's met someone after 3 months, and I go, that's just hormones talking. Love is the long, is the long race. And what I mean by that is it's easy to say that I'm there for someone, but I think you need the long race to really to really understand what it means to be there for someone. You need to go through the physical challenges, the emotional challenges, the medical challenges to really begin to understand what's the long run of a relationship. And this is where I really stress at people, you know, this is the most that I can explain about a relationship. It should never be one-sided. You know, if one person is doing 60% of the work, there's something wrong. It should be a 50-50. On an average day, there are going to be times that someone's going to pick up 100% of the load, and there's reasons why. But if every day of the relationship, it's going to be 100% one-sided, that's not a relationship. I call that someone taking advantage. And it really should be a 50-50 load. The other thing is there has to be a basic understanding of why you're in that relationship. And I think the most important thing, throughout my whole entire life with all the relationships is some level of commitment that I'm going to be safe if I'm in a dangerous situation, or if something happens to me that I can't take care of myself. Is someone going to be there? And I think that's the most valuable thing of all my relationships. You know, from being in the military to even being with you, everything else was just, what do we want at the end of the day? And I think a lot of it, you know, over the years, I didn't know what I wanted. And I think things just kind of fell in place from doing that work, having that basic underlying commitment. And from there, it was just, well, what worked for us? And I find that if you keep it simple and stupid, you know, everything else will take care of itself. You know, the people in their relationships can figure things out. But it really comes down to the commitment from both people. Just, I'm there for you in those emergencies, and I commit to that. And I'm willing to do 50% of the work. And we're all going to come with baggage, something, I don't know, everyone has different levels of baggage. Some people were abused in their younger years and haven't emotionally dealt with it. Some people come as alcoholics, some people come as druggies, some people come with other emotional damages. But we're all going to come with a baggage, something wrong.
We do, and that's the other thing is we are not perfect, and as a relationship, we're not perfect. And definitely, when you're in a relationship, try not to focus on the bad things. Try to focus on the good things that that person does for you. It's easy to get intertwined in everything that that person does bad, but it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do the relationship any good. So focus on the things that, you know, that he does or she does good for you. And the more you see them and appreciate what they do right for you, the more you're gonna get out of the relationship, and you'll see more of that instead of focusing on the negative. So that's, for me, I think that's important too. Because I think we can get stuck and frustrated with, you know, with what that person's doing wrong, but we need to look at ourselves too at the same time, you know, that we're not so perfect, and we could also you know, we can also make changes for ourselves that will better help the relationship. I guess that's what I'm saying.
You know, I turn around and say, you know, when you enter into relationships, no matter what level, you are still you. You still have your views, you still have your dreams, you still have your hopes. And because you enter into a relationship, you don't give you up. And your whole life shouldn't be focused on that one person. That's, you know, that's called an obsession, excuse me. And that's not realistic. We have to still do us. It's just a matter of sharing a piece of ourselves with other people. And, you know, I have all kinds of different types of relationships, and you know, at the end of the day, I don't know if there's any more of me left, but but you're sharing yourself, but pieces of yourself. But no one's getting the whole thing. Not even Nydia doesn't get the whole thing. You know me. There's just not enough. And I don't think she could handle all of me at the end of the day, emotionally, mentally. So, you know, you gotta keep that in mind too, you know. And the other thing I tell people with relationships, so I have certain relationships with people, and it's one-sided most of the time. And this is okay in certain situations. So when I was middle aged and I was working all the time, just trying to figure out how to make ends meet. My father would call, but I would never take the time to maybe interact with him and my mother and other people. And I just didn't have the time. And so as I've gotten older, and I'm now realizing that, like with my brother, he'll never call me. He's busy raising his kids and trying to keep, you know, take care of his needs. And but it's my obligation to call him because he's my brother. And I know there'll come a time that it might balance out a little bit more, but there's some obligations that it will always be kind of one-sided. And it's realizing where people are at in their lives, and it's realizing those relationships are important because as we do get older or situations happen, God forbid, people leave our lives, or when they do, it's realizing keeping people together, even at some level. I even do that with a lot of people that I've known from the military, and they do, and some people do it to me more than I do it to them. It's just realizing there's certain relationships that just require you to do something that you're not going to get anything out of. But it's important to keep doing it. And then there's other relationships, yeah. I expect the other person to meet me halfway on a day-to-day basis unless there's an issue, and then, you know, I get that can't happen. And so I just want to explain that there are some subtle differences in certain circumstances, but if you're in a relationship, you know, you're living together, If the person's not meeting you halfway, there's something wrong, especially if they're physically able to. You have anything else?
No, I think that pretty much sums up, what we need to say about relationships. And like I said, it's a different progress. Sometimes we are still working, we've been together for many years. I don't even want to say it, but we've been together for quite a while. And it's still a work in process. I mean, we're still, like I said, it's not a perfect relationship. But as long as, you can air and talk about, and sometimes we kind of get into it ourselves, but, it's still some form of communication at least. And we are able to at least get through it. And that's the thing, is working through whatever that is for you, because everybody's going to be different. So,
And to wrap this one up, I would like to ask everyone, please subscribe if you find value in this content. Leave some comments for us of some things you wish you knew. And with that said, until the next episode, I wish I knew. You take care today, and we'll see you next time.
bye.